Welcome back to JW Highlights and JW World News. And today we are talking about, oh, wait a minute. We're not talking about JW News today. We are talking about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yes, and the reason we're showing this video is because there's a commonality between this religion and the Watchtower in jw.org. Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a striking thing that's going on right now. So the Church of Jesus Christ, we're going to get right into it. And the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, sues the insurance provider over child sex abuse settlement. And I'm going to put that on the display here, and we're going to look at this together. So this is recent news. This is today's news, posted today, July 28, 2023. So this is big news. Salt Lake City, the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. We call them the Mormons, but apparently there is a group of Mormons, fundamentalists still, and they're a sect. We haven't covered Mormons really on our show. We cater more to the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or Jehovah's Witnesses. So now here, there's a commonality. The Church of Jesus Christ, Mormons, have filed a lawsuit against two insurance companies, claiming it's those businesses responsible to pay for the settlement of child sex abuse lawsuits. So here they are. They're suing. They're suing the. They're suing the insurance company. So now here's my question: Does the Watchtower have insurance companies? We're going to look at that. If you stay online, we're going to look and see if we can find anything. Now, it says here the original lawsuit filed in West Virginia was brought against a church back in 2013. So it takes a long time for these things to settle out. So there's the allegations claim that a teenage church member committed the abuse between 2007 and 2012. So specifically, the lawsuit alleged the church members failed to properly supervise and train clergy, allowing the minor plaintiff to come into contact with their abuser, and failed to warn the minor plaintiffs and their parents, and otherwise failed to protect the plaintiff from foreseeable harm. So this is what's happening, and this is happening with the Catholics. It's been going on for decades. It's been coming out. Now Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, or Latter-day Saints. Now the church settled the original lawsuit in 2018. Now the faith is suing insurance companies, National Union, ACE, claiming they should cover the cost of the settlement. So what do you think an insurance company is going to say? They're going to say, must be acts of God. We don't insure for acts of God. What are they going to say to this kind of nonsense? Well, here's what they're saying. The National Union is obligated to pay on behalf of the church those sums in excess of the retained limit that the church becomes legally obligated to pay as damages by reason of liability imposed by law because of bodily injury to which this insurance applies, the church states. So let's see if we can get something clear. The church alleges that ACE is also obligated to cover these costs under the same policy. So here's the timeline of the communication between the church and its insurance providers regarding the settlement coverage. National Union. On January 16th, 2018, the church sent a letter to National Union tendering defense and indemnity or asking for financial coverage of the lawsuit. On February 20th, National Union denied to defend or indemnify the church on the grounds of retained limit had not been exhausted. And on March 2018, the church told National Union they had reached a tentative settlement in an amount that exceeded the retained limit. On March 7, 2018, National Union reiterated its denial of coverage. So now ACE, on November 9th of 2017, the church tendered defense and indemnity of the lawsuit. On November 17th, 2017, ACE denied any obligation to defend or indemnify the church, primarily on the grounds the church must satisfy a separate self-insured retention procurance. ACE said that the lawsuit alleged multiple occurrences under their policies. Furthermore, ACE stated that even if the lawsuit alleged a single occurrence, the church is still obligated to satisfy a separate self-insured retention under each ACE policy, in effect during the occurrence, which reportedly occurred over several policy periods. In both instances of policy coverage, the church alleges that the insurance providers did not reasonably investigate the facts to determine whether the retained limit had been satisfied. Furthermore, the church alleges that in both cases, the insurance providers breached the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. For covering CSA cover-ups? Come on. In a church? I can see if someone's walking up your church, breaks their leg on a sidewalk because there's a little jag of cement or ice or something. Maybe someone didn't get out and salt the concrete or something like that. But for what's going on right now within, I call it Babylon the Great. You just lump it together. It's a prostitute of a lot of things. And we see that in the Latter-day Saints, we see that in the Catholics, and we see that in the JWs. We're going to stay tuned here. We are going to turn this into a JW news broadcast. So to date, neither National Union nor ACE has paid any amounts to or on behalf of the church in defense or in indemnity of the lawsuit. So there you have that story. Cutting edge today. The insurance companies are not going to pay. They're not going to get sucked into this nonsense. So I went onto the Watchtower, and I wanted to know with the Watchtower if they are, if they had insurance, if they had some kind of a thing going on. Now I'm just going to move myself over here so you can see this next screen here. And I'll just flip myself so I can look at it with you. So now I'm looking at, I went to the Watchtower website. And I looked under insurance, and I actually asked, if you can see my question at the top there, I said, does the Watchtower use insurance companies? Do they use insurance companies? Like, the Watchtower must have liability insurance companies. If someone's walking on their sidewalk, and like I said, you fall down, break your leg, and you sue the Watchtower because you can't go to work anymore or something, they must have insurance companies. There's lots of public coming into their building, touring their site. They're not witnesses. So I know we carried a liability insurance on any place I lived just because of that very reason. So now I'm sure Watchtower has insurance companies. They must have insurance companies on cars. Now, I know that if you're a large enough company, you can go for self-insurance. So if you have enough money put away somewhere, you can actually be self-insured. Now, I don't know, maybe you guys as the audience can help me out. I couldn't find anything. I went through their website, and I want to show you what I found. Insurance, arson, automobiles, boats, Christian View, churches, citizen band radios. It goes on to talk about home insurance, hospital, injuries, Japan, kidnapping, legal suits, life, making the Watchtower a beneficiary of. I looked that one up. So I popped that one up. Can you guys see that on the screen there? Insurance. Many have made the Watchtower Society a beneficiary of their life insurance policy. Wow. They sure have that in there, don't they, in their index? How to pay the Watchtower. Make your insurance policy. Make them the beneficiary. The end's coming. If you have life insurance, the end is coming. If you die, well, make them the beneficiary. I don't know. So anyways, for clergymen, minister insurance. These days, parishioners across the land are taking their pastors to court, accusing them of everything from... So here they're talking about other ministers having insurance. But Watchtower, I don't think they figure they're above insurance for themselves. Now, malpractice insurance for clergy. Many clergy in the United States are now carrying insurance. Let's look that one up, just out of curiosity. We're going to go right to the end. It looks like it's a bunch of garbage. Even when a person lives to spend their money, experience has repeatedly shown that those who receive windfalls often have problems and frustrations. So give it to the Watchtower. That's not what it says. It says, rather than the life of ease of freedom from anxiety that they have imagined. So they're just saying being rich to God that brings confidence in the future. It's not dimmed, blah, blah, blah. By the way, they do want your money. If you have money or windfall or inheritance, they want it. They want your money. Now, malpractice insurance for clergy. Here it is. This is like watching the world or something. announcements. The Watchtower announcing Jehovah's Kingdom 1980. It's like a insight on the news. That's what it is. They do that on their website, Insight on the News or something. Well, here they're saying many clergymen in the United States are now carrying malpractice insurance to protect them from lawsuits for bad advice. In the past, the thought of suing a pastor is probably repugnant to most people, said an insurance broker, but today stories of recent suits have sent shockwaves throughout the profession. Among others, 1 in 4 Methodists and Lutheran churches are said to have malpractice coverage now, as do 4 out of 5 episcopal churches, if I said that right. The trend reportedly started from the clergyman advised a woman with a marital problem to get a trial separation from her husband. The spouse became so angry that she shot her. But later they became The spouse became so angry that he shot her, but later they became reconciled and together sued the pastor for giving bad advice. Did I read that right? I don't know. Like bad writing back in 1980. Such problems arise for clergymen because they often are inclined to offer psychological advice based on human wisdom rather than on spiritual words from the Bible. Oh, it's going to get you in trouble. As a wise counselor, the Apostle Paul said, to preach the word of God, counsel from his source offers no basis for a lawsuit. So JWs don't sue each other. They're not supposed to. You can get disfellowshipped if you did without going before the elders. So malpractice insurance I don't think they have it. I've never heard of an elder having malpractice insurance. So the only thing that I'm pulling up off their index on insurance is that if you have insurance, you can write that over to the Watchtower. That's smoker's odds. Don't smoke, they're saying you won't get insurance or you get less insurance. Anyways, they have some good articles on some stuff, but they stick in their indoctrination all the way through there, but they're not saying that they carry insurance. So if you know if the Watchtower carries insurance, I'd like to know. Now, I was just going to look at this article. This is top class actions. How many Jehovah's Witness lawsuits have been filed? This is quite interesting. Get help, it's free. Free Jehovah's Witness sexual abuse case evaluation. You see, a few years ago, like I was reading in their articles, they're condemning clergy and Methodist churches because they have to get insurance. They have to get elder insurance, liability insurance. So here the Mormons, the insurance companies aren't paying out. That's today's news. The insurance companies want nothing to do with acts of so-called God. Why would they? Now, if you qualify, because to pay out would be kind of like almost condoning it, like making this the public. Us as insurer, we all pay the insurance companies, right? So we don't want the insurance companies paying out these frivolous claims. These claims have to go against property. The Watchtower has to sell off, the Latter-day Saints. Everyone has to sell off property and pay out these claims. And that's how religion is going to go down. That's my supposition. If you read somewhere else, it says it's going to get bigger. It's growing. So, but not in the Christian religion. It's growing actually in the Pentecostal, apparently in the Christian. And then it's growing in Muslim. The Muslim faith is going to be the biggest, apparently, to numbers, people that count numbers. So we're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses today and now, and insurance companies aren't covering these religions on CSA cases. I don't think you could go out. If JWs went out right now and said, hey, we want to get our whole place insured, you can't get insurance. You can't do that. You can't buy insurance and make it retroactive to all these incidences that go back. I don't think anybody's going to touch this organization with a 10-foot pole. Here it is. The numbers of survivors of child sex abuse accuse the Jehovah's Witness organizations of failing to report them and shielding their abusers. Some have taken legal action. Jehovah's Witness lawsuits overview. I'm going to move myself over here, and then I'm going to change myself. Look that way. There. Okay, so now Jehovah's Witness lawsuit overview. Since the 1990s, Jehovah's Witnesses and their legal entities, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Societies, have been named as defendants in lawsuits alleging they covered up allegations of child sexual abuse. The group kept track of members accused of child sex abuse in secret database, according to the investigation by The Atlantic. Reportedly, the database held tens of thousands of names. Tens of thousands of names. It's like myriads upon myriads of names. I don't know, a lot of names. Is unknown. Okay, so that's what they're saying here. Yeah, it says tens of thousands of names and addresses of individuals in its ranks that have been accused of sexually abusing children. So these are people in the ranks. So now the total number of Jehovah's Witness lawsuits alleging the organization covered up child sexual abuse is unknown, but many dozens have been filed, according to a report by Newsweek. And this is kind of an older article, folks, so there's higher stats now. Now it says in this article, a lawyer who has represented 24 current and former Jehovah's Witnesses who say they were abused by the church elders told reporters that these lawsuits are just the beginning. Any organization where you have adults in the custodial role where there is a potential for abuse, the lawyer told Newsweek, but with the Jehovah's Witness, the scale is massive. Advocates say that the vast majority of the church members, the Kingdom Hall members, included in the Jehovah's Witness database have not been charged. So most of them haven't been charged yet. And that's why we're saying get a lawyer. If you're an elder and you know of stuff, get a lawyer. 80% of the people on that database have faced no legal charges. The founder of Silent Lambs, an advocacy group for survivors of abuse with the organization, told Newsweek. So I wanted to know who Silent Lambs was. And so I clicked on here. It's mostly Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm going to put on their desktop audio and just play this little thing here.
Molestation problems. Dozens of women and men who say they've been abused by church elders marched in Brooklyn today, turning up at the organization's world headquarters. And Mary Murphy was there.
There's a silence of the little ones, the lambs in the church.
Now adults, dozens who say they were molested by fellow Jehovah's Witnesses, clutched toy lambs, a symbol of innocence lost, as they descended on the Watchtower, the church's world headquarters. Their stories are startling.
My son was molested and sodomized by our eldest son.
A mother telling one elder her husband molested their daughter.
He said, well, maybe you're not touching your husband enough.
This young New Jersey woman says her own grandfather abused her.
I was in diapers.
As time went on, we found out that my father had a history for 50 years of abusing young children.
Erica Garza's rapist was convicted in California.
I started getting shunned by all the witnesses, and they were treating me horribly. You know, they would see me and they would turn the other way, only because I wanted to go to the police.
Today is a wake-up call.
William Bowen is a former church elder who was kicked out when he challenged the policy of demanding 2 eyewitnesses to substantiate abuse.
There's a database that they maintain on child molesters that are reported within the church. Most of these people, by and large, are never reported to the police.
This afternoon, as marchers tried to deliver their stuffed lambs at headquarters,
What happened to Matthew 18? They're crushing our brother.
several church members escorted us through the gates to meet the public information officer for the governing body. Do you encourage parents or the child to go to police?
Of course. If a state requires it, then we even let them know that. The Bible shows the civil authorities have a definite responsibility that God permits.
You don't try to suppress information from getting out?
Not at all. In fact, we just recently sent a letter to all
Theocratic warfare strategy.
advising
Lie.
them that parents have the right to go to civil authorities and to report child abuse.
And they won't be marked within the church or shunned?
They are not marked. They are not shunned.
Yet this marcher claims she's been shunned by her own son.
Another
He said, I will never have anything to do with you again.
State by state, lawsuits are being filed, and survivors donated the money to fly this Arizona family in for the march. Ryan says he was 6 when a witness abused him.
He just told us that we couldn't say anything.
But the lambs aren't being silent anymore. I'm Mary Murphy, WB11 News at 10.
Yeah, it's crazy what's happening, and it's all coming out. So this was some old stuff. This wasn't new, but it's worth watching. It's worth seeing the history, and this goes back to when the Watchtower was in Brooklyn, and you've seen the Watchtower there, and they're picketing, right, just like they do today. So this is a really interesting site. We'll probably cover this on another show. The Silent of the Lambs, silentlambs.org. And perhaps a lot of you out there know of this. Again, I'm still gaining on my database, on my research. So this is just one I ran into, and I'm going to be looking more into this organization. But from what I see, it's made up of a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, just like you and me. So thanks again for everyone's participation and watching the news. I always forget to turn off my intro screen, so when I come back to my news studio, she blasts at me again. So with that said, when we look at insurance and the Watchtower and what's happening in the Latter-day Saints Church, the insurance companies are saying, no, we are not paying. So that means that these churches have to take the fall. If they don't have the money, and some of these lawsuits, we seen the one here I did a news article on, and it was just last week. There was a payout in California in the billions. Now, I don't think it went to the church. That one went to the members, but some of these lawsuits are hitting the church. And the lawsuits are hitting the Watchtower. So the Watchtower can't hide any longer under little corporations. They are getting hit with these lawsuits. So folks, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And for those of you that have subscribed, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. You helped our channel to grow, and keep liking and sharing, and then we can grow this channel all over the earth. We're even advertising in other languages now. So thanks again for all your support. We look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.